Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And welcome back, it's the Mac. And today we're going to be looking at a brand new kick-ass game from Wargame Design Studio called War of the Austrian Succession. And it's in the part of their Musket and Pike series games. And a big shout out and thanks to Wargame Design Studio for supplying this review copy for me to showcase on the channel and get you guys intrigued to get your hands on this mighty title. Right off the bat, I just actually made a recording, a really good one, presenting this game. But to my horror, apparently my microphone went dead like halfway through the recording without me knowing about it. So I was sitting talking to myself there for about 30 minutes. And I got so pissed off when I had actually recorded that video that I was, didn't want to do it again, but here I am. So this is probably going to be less, not as good as my first recording, but still it's going to be a recording. I'm going to showcase some of the aspects of the game. And I think I need to have go through my my hardware a bit and see why those things are happening. So I'm going to, do a Let's Play series of this game. Showcase as I usually do, and if I miss anything in this introductory video, I will go over it in my Let's Play. So, brand new game, man, and brand new stuff of this great title. So this is an expansion of the Musket and Pike series. Another game coming down. Let's see if I don't have that. I'm just going to go into the. I did have a. Let's go to the page here. I actually had this prepared before. Right, Musket and Pike. So for you guys who are not familiar with this is the one of the series of Wargame Design Studio. So now there's 6 comprehending titles here, man, including the demo. And so the War of the Austrian Succession is a title that would probably fall just there it is, just before the 7 years, which is like a prelude to the 7-Year War. They, as some historians say, the actual First World War, because this was many nations of the world were engaged in this power struggle. But this was a prelude to that, which also was a huge conflict on the European continent about power vacuums and throne successions and the Holy Roman Empire and the there was lots of things going on here. So I'm not a very well scholared in the history of this. I'm just starting to scratch the surface, and that's one of the main points of these games is to it's a history lesson as well. So I'll get into it and I'll start reading stuff about this, but. The stuff I've read so far is it's pretty complicated stuff. You need to read up on the actual conflict and who fought who and who was allied to who and why and everything. So, but they do have some really good like history briefs explaining like the backdrop of the game. Obviously. It's a pure strategy game. You just fight the battles. There's no micromanagement or anything of empires and stuff. And it's just a purely tactical hex encounter game, like all the Wargame Design Studio games. So this is for your own pleasure. You could play these games just by knowing the rules and moving the counters and not really understand. But it's always a history lesson. That's the meat of these games. The research and the amount of stuff that they have is phenomenal. So this is there's 85 scenarios, so quite a lot, and 3 campaigns. We're going to have a look at those. They're explained better in the almighty notes. So. For people who don't know, this is the 100-meter hexes and 15-minute turns. So it's pretty fast action actually, and pretty intense combat that takes place. They're broken down into companies, batteries, and squadron, battalion level stuff. So that's that. So they're rolling out the 405. This is the new version. I think they're going to be, update the rest of the titles to this because they've done a lot of work in this. You will see that they have improved graphics and sounds and have implemented some bug fixes and some new rules and stuff as well. So, there's going to be some cool stuff. They have one new feature is this open order. We're going to have a look at that in the rule book as well. And of course, there were some bugs. There were sometimes the enemy were triggered, but if you moved your leader around, they started firing stuff, but they removed that and things. So this is actually downloadable on the site. So I think all of these are actually downloadable on the site, but we're just going to go over them. So what else? Yeah, so the almighty notes. Look at this nice picture they made here, man. This 100 pages, man, and it's awesome. It just takes up everything here of the history of the game. Lots about the history, units, and who did it and why. And it was a game that was has been in the works for some time, but now it is finished, and it's this Dr. Andrew Bamford that is the main executive of this title. So really good read here, and then they start off with the historical background and the political context. So it has to do. It was the Austrian Succession and the Holy Roman Empire when he didn't have a male heir, and he also implements something called the pragmatic solution, a pragmatic sanction it was called, and it has to do with. I mean, I guess the whole of Europe was in a transitional period at the time. These big empires were shifting and falling apart, and different coalitions of groups of people that would later be formed into these proper countries or kingdoms or countries were struggling to take their part in history. So. And I think the whole idea of sort of emperors and kings and leaders and stuff were this is just before when the beginning of the or the end of the 1700s and the beginning of the 1800s when you had the whole revolution in France. Everything's in question now. Things are in balance. Things are happening, and people are waging wars of a reason. I mean, it's political reasons. So it's a very turmoil period, and very interesting because there was a lot of things going on and a lot of allegiance in this. But it's very nice, it's very well written here as always. They go through all the different. I just had to check my microphone if it still works. They go through all the different battles and conflicts year by year. So it's very well written for people like me who don't know that much in depth of the actual chain of events. It's very good to follow this to get a grasp of it. Then there's a section of armies and commanders. I talk a lot about how armies are organized, and there's some question about language. It's the different from. For different languages, what they are. So that's been brought up in the notes as well, and lots of things about units. What were actually used at the time. So they also talk about how they did the unit strength and quality ratings. And then there's an exclusive passage on every belligerent in this conflict. So the Austrian army, you got the Saxon army, you got the British, you got Hanoverian, Dutch, Hesse-Chassel army, Piedmontese army, must be Italy, yeah. Prussian army, of course, was on the rise. And as we know, the Prussian army was very dominant during the 7 Years' War. So this is like the birth of also Frederick. He wasn't called Frederick the Great here, but he would become Frederick the Great. So very well written, lots of good stuff here. French army, Spanish army, other Italian armies, Jacobites. So this was something I didn't know much about actually before I read this. This was the was an army that was raised in Scotland under Charles Edward Stuart during the Jacobite Rising 1745. So it's only like a year, where it represents a rather different set of circumstances. So there was a campaign there. This is actually in one of the campaigns that comes with the game as well. And then there is a section about the battles. They take up all these famous battles that took place and what happened and in what context of history they took part. Quite a lot about that. And then they have a general article about like warfare in the 18th century and using the Musket and Pike engine. So what they did and what to think of as of other titles. So infantry, it's the age of linear warfare. It's what that means is that you move up forces in long line formations, several ranks deep, and you sort of move up to your enemy, start devastating fire, and whoever starts to break and get disordered and weak, you then probably will commit to melee. But you don't use, like in Napoleonic tactics, the attack column that was sort of widely used by the French and other units at the time. That hasn't really been invented here yet, so still age of linear warfare. They talk about cavalry is not as powerful as it used to be, so cavalry is still something to use cautiously, but more to run down enemies or like attack of vulnerable positions in the enemy line and stuff. And then they, how to play the game. It's phases versus turn. So they do actually always recommend you to play these games in phases to get the the real historical accuracy and the real historical feel of the games. But playing in phases is kind of very time consuming, especially playing versus a PBM. It takes a long time to send those turns back and forth. So they have different solutions for that. You play your melees and your movement. No, your firing and movement in one phase, and then you have a separate phase for melee, which is also very good to play. So there's a huge account of maps. They put down a shitload of time making these maps, and it's amazing the amount of work they've done. And the archives, they've used these old maps, implementing them in the game. So the map research seems to be amazing in this game. Very, very well researched. As always, looking really, really good. So that is cool. A huge thing about biography, all the books, and, the tips for reads and what they use to get, all this information. There's also another one, supplementary map notes, so historical overview of maps and stuff. So very nice. And then they have a whole section of the notes just on the battle situations, all the operations during the game. So they're actually explained in the same manner as in game, as you will see. But it's all in here in PDF as well. But they do. Did I miss that? So there's 3 campaigns that comes with the game. Let's see if I might have scrolled past that. Yeah. So there's actually 3 whole campaigns that comes with the game. I could quickly show you here. For instance, if we fire up campaigns, these are the 3 that comes: the Battle of Fontenoy, a Prussian 1745 campaign, and the Jacobite invasion of England. So. And there's a section here on them telling a bit how their thought of how they're played and how they were sort of implemented in the system, because like for the Fontenoy campaign, it's a campaign in one. It says a lot there will hinge on defensive position chosen by the French side, and a pragmatic player will need to probe forward carefully to establish what level or not their chosen line of advance has caught the enemy at a disadvantage. Note that the order of battle of the pragmatic army is slightly different to the historical battle in that the British and Hanoverian regiments that form a flanking detachment under Brigadier General Inglesby in the stock scenarios are here still with their parent formations. Okay, so there's some changes so it could work. This is based on the Hohenfriedberg campaign, but injects a wild card element that allows both sides of the option of throwing additional forces into historical small-scale battles of Landeshut. It's really interesting here. This is where they explain the campaigns, and I think they're scripted. It doesn't say that they're supposed to be played from a special way. I think they could play the PBM or either side versus the AI. So let's go back to this. Yeah, so we went. So in the end of the manual, they just basically list all the scenarios and the explanations to them. You will find that in the game as well. It's all here. The same explanations. So all these battles, man, pretty cool. Yeah, what else? Yeah, so getting started. I think we could fire up the getting started in this introductory video just so you can see the graphics and they've made some really improvements in sound and graphics and stuff. So we'll have a look at that. User manual, still epic. 108 pages, so still pretty doable. It's not like the Panzer campaigns that's like over 200 pages now, I think. But this is 100 pages. Very well written, very easy to click wherever you want to go. You do have the search function as well, so you can just, if you want to know what the hell, what's the deal about skirmishers? All right, you just search skirmishers. Boom, you get 43 entries, and you can sort of look at all these entries concerning skirmishers. So then you can just sort of go through, see, all the information about skirmishers, for instance, and stuff. So I really like this manuals. They're very well written and very, very smart made. So let's just jump into the game. So I already played this actually off camera and getting started. I usually never play getting started when I showcase a game, but I'm going to just showcase this now. I'm not going to do any spoilers, so I'm just going to go what they recommend. So it's the anti-pragmatic versus the pragmatic forces here, and the default rules. So there are some new things in this game. I'm gonna see if I can find that. I think it was called Open Order. Yeah, this is kind of new. It's a new formation. So Open Order formation is used by certain troops in certain terrain and certain theaters of operations. Only 2 ranks, light, guard, and line, and dismounted cavalry are allowed to enter. Dismounted cavalry always use this formation. Units must be in good order and in command to move in or out of Open Order. Open Order pays line cost to move as well as the same formation change cost. A unit can go from column directly to Open Order. Frontages will be increased by 3 times when deployed to represent the wide spacing between men. Offensive fire against an Open Order unit is reduced by 20%. A unit in Open Order engaged in melee will do it so at a minus 20 effectiveness. Yeah. So that's kind of new. Let's see if we can do that in the game. So I'll just fire this up. I hope the volume is loud enough so you can hear. Yeah, so look at this. And immediately you will notice that they have made some new counters for the game as well. Pretty slick. And if you can hear, if I just shut my mouth for a while. You hear that? The background songs, the clattering of the horses. But you also have some like musicians playing in there in the background, like these drummers and pipers and stuff that was accompanying these forces to sort of, play music while they were moving to the enemy and fighting, because it was sort of a morale booster. There's also a background music that you can put, and that's actual real classical music from the era. I'm not sure how many artists there are, but it seems to be quite a few famous, like pieces of music, classical music that was actually played, that actually come from the era. I don't want to turn it on now because I don't know about copyright laws and stuff. I might get some penalty from YouTube or something for copyright, so I don't want to use it. But pretty cool stuff. Yeah, so new icons and stuff, and of course the graphic art. So in this particular battle, you're in charge of a French force attacking a British force that are on these hills with objectives, and your attack is to clear the hill, cause as much damage to the enemy as possible, while sustaining as little yourself, and grab the objectives, and you'll be sure to get it like a major victory there. So you need 350 points for major here, and this is worth like 50 points, 50, and this is worth 100. Obviously, it's not going to be that easy. we don't know where all the enemies are as well. But you know, it's a pretty cool scenario. I played it. It's pretty hard, but you know, I also think they made it a bit easier because you have quite good forces on your side here. Yeah, another thing about skirmishers. So you will see that many units are restricted. This was not the age of skirmishers. Skirmishers were not used as much in this kind of warfare. Not as much as in Napoleonic battles, where like the whole battlefield can just be full of skirmishers, man. It's so messy. There's skirmishers everywhere. But in this, as you can see, there's only one unit here that can actually deploy skirmishers, and skirmishers were not really used that much on the field. They were mostly used to reinforce rough or defensible hexes to sort of be hard to dislodge from. So they were not used much in offensive as portrayed. Actually, in this getting started, they actually tell you to put your skirmishers back in this formation. They just started off by this to show you what it looks like. So got some guns lined up here. There's some new sound effects I'll show you. So let's say we're starting to attack. So what we got in this particular scenario, you have a brigade of Salenzi, the Brigade Salenzi. So there are these forces. They have are they companies or brigades? Regiments. Okay, so they have 4 regiments in this brigade, and he's in charge here. So 600 men there, 613, 601, 612. So they're all lined up, ready to move forward. And here we have another brigade, Chambonnaz, quality C, so they're all right, these troops. So they are tasked of just moving forward and taking this hill while you have some flanking cavalry to use to your advantage. And I also think there are like reinforcements coming in this battle. Yeah, you do get some pretty badass Swiss forces coming in as well. So let's just showcase some new sound effects, man. Well, so for instance, we have a battery up here, 6 heavy, 16 pounders. So we'll just open up on these guys standing here. Hear that? Pretty badass sounds, man. Yeah. So, for instance, if you want to get your skirmishers back, get those guys back in there. Now we can move this whole unit forward. Ouch! Hear that? The sound of those guns firing. 10 men. All right. So, pretty cool, huh? And there's new sound effects moving. See if I want to move these guys forward. Okay, you probably can't hear it now because all the other sound there. I love the sound in this new game. So badass. These guys are a bit better. They're quality B. Cool, huh? Go for the attack there. You got your little wagons here. I love the graphics of these. They look really cool. Yeah, 3D graphics pretty good as well. I like it. So many people would prefer to play these games in 3D. I usually don't, because I'm so used to playing like this. I like the overview. I like to have the full grasp of the battlefield. Sometimes I feel a bit lost when I play like this, but I think you just have to get into it, man. And once you're into it, you will get used to it. Sending these guys forward. Oh yeah, let's see if I can put them in, for instance, open order. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, this unit's not capable of it. Okay, so only certain units are probably capable of doing that. So very important always to check your parameter data. So for instance here you have 400 horses or 1200 men per hex. So these things are always important to check. And as I said about the, for instance, if you're moving, if you're doing a column attacks, almost no units are using column attack like they do in Napoleonic games. It's all linear, but in some battles here, I think the French were the pioneers in this type of combat. So the French might have less penalties for doing that. So here you have a column fire is not good for anybody. As you can see, they only have 1/7 of their firepower when using column fire. So and here you have column melee. So in this particular battle, the French have the same penalties as everybody else. So you should really only use column attack if like you're going to win that fight. If you're like facing a routed unit with like huge fatigue and they're like completely broken, you can just keep on attacking in melee in column. It probably will win the battle anyway. I mean, you will win that fight. So always check parameter data. Always a good one to check out. Yeah, so this is 3D graphics here, man. It's pretty cool. And you have this heavy cavalry screen on the side here. They have a bonus to melee and stuff, so always good. And you have some others here. You have Commander-in-Chief there. Yeah. So many cool new things added in this game, man. Many cool. I love the sounds and stuff. I wish I could play that classical music for you, but I think I will probably become demonetized or something because, or some sort of thing with the copyright of that music, because I think it's authentic music. It's not. It's not like some version of the old cover or anything. I think it's like the real deal, but it's really cool. I did find though having them on at the same time could become sort of, it's like when you go to a concert and you like have two bands playing at the same time, and and you're sort of standing in the middle, you get that confusion in your ears. So I would probably play with one of either on. That would probably be the best. But I do like the background noise they made in this. Yeah, so I'm not sure if they have any other, they have NATO. Yeah, they have those classical ones. They have in many of their alternate. Yeah, these are, they used these before. Yeah, they're pretty nice as well. But these are really nice, the new ones. I think they look really sweet. What else? Yeah, but the same stuff as the others, just nothing really new, but whole new way of thinking of warfare here. So I'm going to go more into this when I pick a battle. If there's anything that you guys want me to try out, any particular battle, please let me know. If there's something you want to see me duke out here. As you can see, there's a lot. Molowitz, Prague, Schutz, Sahay, Campo de Santo, Simbach, many versions of that. Wonder why. Okay, here it says intended to be played as the pragmatic alliance against the anti, but can be played from either side or head to head. Okay, cool. Wonder if they have some exclusively for like PBMs. Maybe not. So, Dettingen, first Velletti, Castelfino. Yeah, some really cool ones here, man. I also like the turns. You know, many of them are like doable. Sohr, second Prespapans, Hennersdorf, Kesseldorf, Clifton, Falkirk, Scottish. Historical, in late 1745, the Jacobite army was besieging Stirling Castle, and relief army under Henry Hawley moved into the Scotlands by mid-January. Jacobites decided to attack on the 17th, but extreme confusion and delay prevented the attack from kicking off till late in the day, by which point the weather had turned to snow, sleet, and rain. In an extremely confused battle, Jacobites were able to drive off the British, but proved unable to gain any major strategic advantages from the battle. Note, the field hex type here represented the wet moorlands and thus reduced movement more than usual. Also, muskets have reduced firepower due to wretched conditions. Tend to be played as the anti-pragmatic forces against the pragmatic alliance. Cool, let's see what that is. Ah, look at this. $500 men, man. Melee bonus and stuff. It's Highlanders. Pretty badass guys here, man. They have quality D, so they have not the best quality troops there. Kind of small force. Wow, pretty cool. Falkirk. Yeah, so as you can see, this game is just full of good stuff, man. I'm actually going to end the recording here, man, now. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of this game, and we're going to go more into details. I'm going to be reading some history and stuff and get more into the sort of aspects of the game. But as you can see, this game is awesome. If you want to expand your Musket and Pike, or just an era of warfare that you're really interested in, you should definitely go for this, man. Really nice new release from Wargame Design Studio. Another great game rolled out, and endless hours of good gaming for this. This is probably going to be very, very popular in the gaming community as well. So join one of the clubs, or just join the Wargame Design Studio page group on Facebook. You'll find lots of people there to play as well. So grab a copy, man. Get into it. So I want to thank you for watching this, man, and I'm gonna come back with the Let's Play of a battle. If you guys know anything, just type in the comments and stuff we want me to try out, and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And I will see you guys in the next part. Have a good one.